Hi guys. Hi. Happy Tuesday evening. We're going to make some macrame bracelets this evening like this. I'm just going to quickly share the link, so make yourselves a cup of tea, get comfortable, and we'll begin in a minute. Oh, hello, one person's arrived. Get started in a second, guys. Hi, oh, there's two of you now. I'm just sharing the link, so make yourselves a cup of tea. And please, you can also share the link. That'd be nice. Show your friends what we're up to. Oh, 4 people. Oh, hi Susan. I liked your practice, Susan. It looked really tidy. I think you've got this. We're actually doing a different knot tonight, but it's much easier knot, so you're going to be absolutely fine. Right, just sharing the link. Okay, so we're going to be doing the square knot today. It's like the one we did with the macrame plant hangers. I don't know if you can see that. It's all very dark, but I'll explain it much more thoroughly when we get started. The nice thing about the square knot is it's got lots of varieties and you can do lots of different things with beads. So this one's like 2 rows of beads. This one's varying between 1 row and 2 rows of beads. Hi Sarah. Yeah, and you can also just do a single row of beads, which is what we're going to start off with. We're going to start off with a simple bracelet, which is just going to have the beads in the middle. So you can secure your bracelet while you work on it. This bit of board is quite handy, and you can use this with drawing pins, and that's probably what I'll use, so it doesn't wiggle around too much on me, and I can get on with teaching you guys. But if you don't have drawing pins and a bit of wood, then just a bit of cardboard like this is great, and you can just cut some little slits in it, and then just use those to hold your string in place. So just a bit of cardboard works great. You can also use a bit of duct tape on your table. Anything really that's just going to hold those strings in place for you is going to work great. So the first thing to do is to measure out your strings. If you've got the kit, you want to start off with the packet that says the first bracelet. Hi Catherine! So you're going to make the first bracelet first. Haha, surprisingly. So to measure your strings, if you're working with string at home that's your own, you just measure it as long as your arm and then a bit longer, just to the centre of your chest. And you cut that. So if you're working with a kit, you just get your two longer bits. And you also get, if you're working with a kit, you get your shorter bit, which has both its ends melted into hard little spiky points. If you're not working with a kit, then you're going to get your 2 long bits, and then take a piece that is, it can be about half the length of those pieces. That's fine. Then the piece that's going in the middle, you want to attach the 2 longer bits on it's about 2 inches down. You're just going to tie all 3 together. So you tie all 3 together. You can, about 3 inches down, you put in a knot. I know it's a bit hard to see, isn't it, with my spin threads, but I'll go in for a close-up in a minute and you'll see what I'm doing. Then you're going to put it on your board, or if you're using your bit of cardboard, then you can just stick those 3 threads in the cardboard niche, and then you tie a knot in the back to secure them. But you have that knot sticking out the front. You have to tie a second knot. If you're working with a bit of board, you could use a pin board for this. You use a safety pin on a cushion, whatever works best for you. So I've just tipped out loads of drawing pins, but you only need 2. So you get your 2 drawing pins, and you stick one through this knot at the top. So I just stick it through the knot first. And then into the board. Well, I'm going to stand up for this, get some leverage. There we go. And then you get your middle thread, which is the shorter one. If you're using the kit, the middle thread is the one that's got both ends melted. And you get your pin. Yeah, you get your pin and just, do you know what, actually, no, we're not going to pin it down first. We're going to put our beads on first. So if you're working with a nylon or polyester thread, if you've got the kit, I've pre-melted your ends, so it's easy to get your beads on. If you haven't got the kit and you're working with a nylon or polyester thread, if you get a lighter, if you're a child, please ask an adult for help. You very gently just melt the end of that cord. And that way, you get a nice pointy bit, which is super easy to thread the beads on. We're going to put quite a lot of beads on this bracelet, because then it will go nice and quick. No, 2 long strands and 1 short strand, Catherine. It should be 2 long strands and 1 short strand. Hopefully that's what I put in your kit. So the 2 long strands, 1 short strand, the one with the soft ends, you put to one side. You have your 2 long strands like this, and your 1 short strand with the pointy ends in the middle. And then we're going to thread our beads on. So I'm going to put quite a lot of beads on this bracelet, that's my plan. I'm going to put 5 bigger beads. Well, actually, 5 might be way too many. I'm thinking, because we're going to have some knotting in between, so probably, and I'm threading my beads on first. I hope you can all see that. I know it's a bit small. We'll go in for the close-up in a minute. Just thinking, if we have a few knots in between each of these beads, how big a section will that be? Maybe just put 2 more on. So 1 more of the bigger ones and 1 more of the smaller ones. And these are all going on the middle thread, which is the shorter one. Then I'm going to get my drawing pin. If you're working from the kit, this is the first bracelet we're working on as well. Not the second bracelet is the second bracelet we're going to make. That makes sense? Okay. So I'm going to turn this round now so it's the right way up for you. This is magic. And I am now going to go in for a close-up. So there's going to be some dodgy camera angles going on for a second. So if you just all bear with me. There we go. That's a good close-up. Hope you can all see what I'm doing. So you've got 2 colours for this bracelet. This is because it's the easiest way to learn this knot. The second bracelet we're going to do all in 1 colour. So in one of these you're going to put a knot in the end. I'm going to choose the red thread. For me, I'm going to put a knot in the end of the red thread. That's to help me remember that it doesn't matter what side it's on. The red thread will always go first. The red thread's going to go under the middle thread. It's going to go over this brown thread here. I'm going to pick up the brown thread and go back through this loop here. And then I'm going to pull that up to the top and pull it tight. You don't need this pin at the bottom, but it holds this thread nice and tight, which really helps you keep everything good tension, makes it a bit easier for you. So the red thread has the knot in the end, which means it always goes first. Doesn't matter that it's on the other side. I'm going to take the red thread and go back under the middle. It goes on top of the brown thread. I pick up the brown thread and go through the loop. And this is the same knot, if you did the macrame plant hangers with me, this is the same knot we did for that. So you might remember the knot from there. So the one with the knot in the end goes under the middle, goes over the brown one. We're going to pick up the brown one and go through this loop. I've also got a video on YouTube where I explain this, which I don't know, you might have watched. So I'm just going to start off with a few knots here. You should do your knots in even amounts because each knot is only half a knot. You need 2 to make a whole knot. So I have 3 knots there. So I'm just going to stick in a 4th knot. And then I think I'm ready for, I'm going to be bead heavy bracelets. I'm going to move up my first bead. I'm going to put 2 knots in between each bead. And the knots are following on. You go under the middle, over the brown, pick up the brown and go back through the red. The red always goes first, doesn't matter which side it's on. Your red might obviously not be red, might be a different colour. Doesn't matter, it always goes first. Just move that out of the way before I elbow it. The red goes over the brown. We're picking up the brown and going back through that loop created by the red. Going to pull it up, and that's our 2 knots. We're going to move another bead up. So when you're going around these beads, a good way to get the tension nice is with your first knot, you don't want to pull it too tight. You just want to pull it so the threads are nice and even either side of your bead. Then it's with the second knot that you do, you really want to get it nice and tight. You go under the middle, over the brown one, put the brown one back through the loop. So when it goes through the loop, it goes top to bottom and out, and you're going to pull that second knot tight, and you're going to slide up your next bead. Oh, it goes so quickly when you use lots of beads. I love it. It's a little jewellery making hack. The more beads you use, the quicker everything is. So the brown one goes back through that loop we created with the red. We pull it up. To get a good tension in these knots, if you do each one, you pull it up nice and gently, keeping it as even as possible. You pull it up gently, and then when you get to the top, right at the top, give it a nice hard tug, and that will really even out the process. Slide up the next bead, going under the middle, over the red. You pick up the red, go through the loop, slide it up. Not too hard a tug on that one. It's the second knot that you want to give a really nice hard tug to get that nice tension. Oh, I made a mistake there. Don't know if you can see. This is what your mistake's going to look like. It's like I did it on purpose, isn't it? So you see how this knot here has a red middle and all my other knots have brown middles. Can you see that? Hard to see, I know, but this knot with the red middle, that's because I accidentally put the brown thread underneath. Naughty. So I'm going to unpick it and do it again. See, we all make mistakes. And sometimes, actually, it's a nice twisty knot if you keep alternating which side's underneath, and it does look great, so all mistakes are a win, really. So the red goes underneath, it goes over the brown. We're going to pick up the brown and go back through the loop. We're going to go again. The red goes under the middle. It goes over the brown. We're going to pick up the brown, go back through that loop. That's the second knot. Both correct this time. Slide up the next bead. The red goes under the middle. It goes over the brown. We're going to pick up the brown. We're going to go back through the loop and pull it up. The red goes under the middle. It goes over the brown. We're going to pick up the brown. We're going to go through that loop. And we're going to pull it up, and it's the next bead. The red goes under the middle. Goes over the brown. We're going to pick up the brown. We're going to go through that loop. Nice and tight. I hope you've all seen the new competition. I'm just trying to, because all the amazing, all these online workshops I've been doing, you can still rewatch any of them. So all that material is still up on Facebook, and I just wanted to sort of let everyone know, really, that it's still possible to keep watching them at any time you feel like you have an hour and you want to make something. So I'm doing a giveaway to promote that, so you can win kits to do loads of the workshops that we've already done. So you can choose which kit you'd like to win. Yeah, so it's quite exciting because we're running the competition over both pages. So on the studio name page where I do the Saturday morning workshops, the shop in the square page, and also in the group, the Get Creative group. I'm talking and not counting. I've done my 2 knots, move my next bead up. Yeah, so that's really nice. Make sure you enter on all 3 pages, and I mean, you might win 3 kits because you can win a kit on each page, so it's possible. Imagine that if one person won all of them. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? That would be a day to walk under ladders and buy lottery tickets. Right, so So slide the next bead up. So this is the number of beads I thought I would use. So now is a good time to have a look at your wrist and a look at the bracelet and work out if it's the right size. Obviously, if it's the wrong size, you might want to do some more knotting. So I'm just going to put 2 knots in there. I mean, add some more beads on. 2 knots there, just in case I decide that I want to add more beads on. So I'm just going to pull it off the board. Which is easier said than done. And I've got quite big wrists, so I think I am going to need more beads actually. I'm just going to wrap it around my wrist and have a look at the gap. And you do want to have a gap with these bracelets because we're going to do catches for them. But that's quite a big gap. So I've got like kind of a 2-inch gap, and probably I'd rather have more like an inch. So I think I'm going to add 2 more beads on. I'll just slide them on my middle thread in the same order that I've been putting them on before. Right, so there's 2 more beads. I'm just going to pin this back down so you can see what I'm doing. Pin it at the bottom. Right, you're all very quiet this evening. I hope that means you're busily making bracelets. So the red goes first, goes under the middle. Goes over the brown. I'm going to pick up the brown and go back through this loop here. I'm going to pull that up to the top, and we do it again. The red goes under the middle, goes over the brown, pick up the brown, go through that loop, and pull it up to the top. And then we slide up the next bead. Then the red goes under the middle, goes over the brown, we pick up the brown, go through that loop. So I did 4 knots to begin this bracelet, so I'm going to do 4 knots at this end as well to even it out. So the red goes under the middle, goes over the brown, pick up the brown, go through the loop. So that's 2. The red goes under the middle, over the brown, pick up the brown, go through the loop. 3. The red goes under the middle, over the brown, pick up the brown, and go through the loop. 4. Ta-da! Okay, so let's unpin this bracelet. Let's use my scissors to help me unpin it. It's a bit more graceful, isn't it? Then the first thing we're going to undo is this knot that we put in at the beginning. If you're using a bit of cardboard, you undo any knots that you've got in this end. But I was using pins, so I'm just going to undo this one knot, because it is messy and unsightly and we don't need it anymore. Now, there's 2 ways you can, you might not untie that knot actually. So you can either, to finish up, if you have a lighter, I'm going to show you how to melt it and get a really professional finish. But if you don't have a lighter, if that's not something you want to do, you can finish it off by just tying a knot like you had in that end, tying all 3 together like that, and then cutting off the red and the brown, so leaving the one that was in the middle and cutting off the other 2. If you have a lighter, then what we're going to do is a bit more fancy. Hope you're ready. Right, so if you've got your lighter ready, it's still, we're going to leave the middle one, the one that we had in the middle is going to stay, and we're going to get rid of the 2 side ones. So to get rid of them, we're just going to take the scissors and we're going to cut it so it's quite short. There's just a little tuft sticking out. The other 2, you're going to make sure you hold them well out of the way so you don't accidentally melt them. Then you're going to get your lighter and you're just going to melt that end. So it just forms a really nice little nubble of plastic, and just use the side of the lighter to smoosh it into the bracelet. You can use your finger, but it does get hot and I don't like the idea of you burning yourself, so be really careful. But that's it, you get a nice really lovely finish without any big chunky knots. I'm just going to do the other side. So the lighter is quite a useful tool. You can use a candle or a match or something. The lighter is just a bit more instantaneous. You do get special tools for doing this that are like little hot wire things, but who has one of them, eh? I mean, I've got one and I still don't use it. So I'm just going to trim this nice and short and melt that bit in. How are we doing for time? Oh, perfect. Perfect. My plan was about half the workshop doing this bracelet and about half the workshop doing the second bracelet, so we're doing great. That's why I'm kind of rushing through this one, because the second bracelet we do is the same technique, but slightly different aesthetic. Okay, so here's my bracelet, and I've got my two ends, which are from the middle thread. What we do now is we're going to cross those ends over, going in opposite directions. If you're working using cardboard for this bit, you will need a smaller bit of cardboard to make this work. Probably. So I'm going to pin this down, and I'm going to start off, I'm going to put my pin through my cord first, because otherwise it's really hard to pin, and then I'm going to stick it through my bracelet. And then I'm going to do the same at the other end. So through the cord, and then through the bracelet. Oh, that was a hard bit of board there. Right, there we go. So now I'm going to get another bit of cord. So if you've got the kit, you've got a fourth bit of cord, which is a nice short bit of cord. And this is going to be the same knot, but it's all going to be in one colour. So you're going to start off by putting this cord, this short bit of cord, under these two cords. You're going to then put your ends up to the top, so you've got the same amount on both sides. So check that. Then you're going to put a knot in one end. That way you know that side is always the cord that goes first. So it's not attached to anything up here, so you've got to be really careful not to yank it out. And you're going to go under the middle too. And I'm doing this upside down for me, so if you're doing this, you'd be sitting here. Does that make sense? I'm doing it upside down so you can really see what I'm doing. So you go under the middle two, over this side one, pick up the side one and go back through the loop. And then you just pull it gently, making sure you've got the same amount on each side. When you get to the top, just give it a tug to tighten it up. And this is more important that these knots are tight, because these are going to make the catch for our bracelet. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say then. Over the side, pick up the one at the side, go back through the loop. Again, we want to do an even number of knots. I'm not sure how long the bits of cord I gave you were, but I'm thinking about 6 or 8 knots, something like that. You want to get them nice and tight so that the bracelet doesn't slide off your wrist. Oh, pull my pin out. Under the middle, over the side, and back through the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4. Under the middle, over the side, and this one goes back through the loop. And that's 5. This one's 6. When the ends get a bit shorter, it gets a little bit more fiddly. I've had lots of experience, so I'm probably making it look super easy, but don't worry if you're finding this a bit fiddly. Just stick with it, you will get there. Okay, so I've got to the end of my 8 knots, and I'm going to unpin my bracelet. This is just to finish it up. If you don't want to use a lighter, you're not feeling a lighter, then what I would do here with these two ends is maybe just tie them to each other. So you've just got a little knot there made out of those red ends, but it is better with a lighter. Or actually, maybe if you're not using a lighter, don't worry about putting the catch on at all. Just have it like loose ends that you can tie around your wrist. I'm going to just trim that end off there. So we've just got that little tuft again. And we're just going to hold the other threads out of the way and really carefully melt that in. Just use the end of the lighter to smudge it into the bracelet. And do the other side. Just give it a little trim. And give it a little smooch. There we go, that's it. Right, so then you've got these two long ends that you just pull on. I've done my knots really tight, so it's quite hard. But then you've got this little slidey adjustable catch, so you can open it up to put your bracelet on. And then when it's on your wrist, you can pull it tight to make your bracelet smaller. And we have it, we've got a nice bracelet with a little knotted catch. And I'm just going to show you how to finish it off, make it all professional looking. We're just going to add a couple of little beads on the end here. These are good because they stop it just like breaking, but also they look great. So if you're working with a kit, you should already have belted ends on both ends of this bit of string. If you're not, you can melt your end. Or if you don't have, if you're working with a string where you're not melting the ends, maybe it's cotton, you can just use a little bit of sellotape rolled up or a skinny bit of wire. You can use like a needle threader to get the beads on. So I've got my two beads on and I'm just gonna put in a knot at the end. I'm just gonna make sure that knot is big enough that the bead doesn't come off. Yep, and one on this end. Oh yeah, could this be any better timing wise? It is actually 7:30 on the dot. I have got, I'm not very good at timing in my own life, so I'm always really impressed when I pull something off like this. I mean, the basket weaving workshop on Saturday went on for 2 hours, which was great fun. I'm just gonna give these knots a little melt. There we go, they're all tidied up. And I'm just gonna pull that tight and you can see there it is, my lovely bracelet. So that's the first bracelet we're making. And now we're gonna get started on the bracelet that is this design. Okay. So this bracelet is all going to be one colour. That's going to be the big difference for this bracelet. This is, I mean, we're going to put the beads on differently as well. There's going to be lots of differences. But the main difference is we're going to work just in one colour. It's a bit more confusing for you, but I think you can handle it. I'm just going to put my tripod back up to show you the measuring out, because I don't want you to miss out on this bit. Still headless though, I'm going to arrange it that much more. Okay, so I think if you've got the kits, I've done you 2 long bits and you're going to start off the same way you started off this bracelet. But I might not have, I might have just done you 1 long bit. And if you're at home, you can definitely just use 1 long bit. So you measure it hand to hand, like across your chest, like an arm span. And you're going to cut it off. Then on this long bit, if you're working with a plastic thread, you're going to melt both the ends, so you've got nice points on those ends. And those are really going to help you get your beads on, because on this bracelet we're putting beads on the long bits as well as on the middle, the short bit. You're going to cut a short bit now, about half the length of those long bits, doesn't really matter, just has to go around your wrist twice. That's what I always say, if you measure around your wrist twice, it's going to be the right length. And we're just going to melt the end of that middle bit so we can get the beads on that nice and easily. And we might as well, while we're here with the lighter, we'll melt both ends, even though we're not going to put a bead on that end for a little while. Okay, so if you're working with 2 long bits and a short bit in the middle, do that knot to tie them all together. if you have just measured a long bit, I'll show you how to. You're going to start it off like we started off the catch on the last bracelet. So we're going to pin that middle thread down. And we're going to put this thread under it. We're going to pull it up so we've got the same amount on both sides. And we're going to start off, we're going to just put it up to the top. We're going to put a knot in one end so we know that that's the end that always goes under the middle. I haven't put any beads on this one, well, I'll do it all in a minute. So the one with the knot in the end goes under the middle. And make sure it's a loose knot this time because we're going to have to untie it. We're going to have to untie it when we put beads on, so tie a nice loose knot. Goes under the middle, over the side, pick up the side, go through the loop. I know it's the wrong way up for you. I'll turn it round in the middle. Minute, turn that knot up to the top. Okay, so let's sort out the beads. So you've got 3 bigger beads in this bracelet design, and they go on the middle one. So unfasten your middle piece. If you fastened it already, if you haven't, you can put them on straight away. So we put those 3 bigger beads on the middle. All the other beads are going to go on the 2 side pieces. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But first, we're going to do some knotting. So I'm going to turn that round, and we're just going to go back down for a close-up. So I hope you're ready for a bumpy ride. Whee! There we go. Okay, so put those beads down there. We've got the one with the knot in the end, which goes first, and it goes under the middle. Remember, if you're doing this, you're sitting here. I'm doing it upside down so you guys can see what I'm doing. So the one with the knot in the end goes under the middle. It goes over this one. Pick up this one, go back through the loop, top to bottom. Exactly the same knot we've just been doing. Pull it up to the top, give it a little tug to tighten it. The one with the knot in the end goes under the middle. It goes over the one at the side. Pick up the one at the side and go back through the loop. I'm going to pull that up to the top, give it a little tug to tighten it. You know what, I forgot my own design here. I've done the beads wrong. So I'm going to take this back out. Sorry guys. Best time to remember though, right at the beginning before I've actually messed anything up. So we're going to actually have 5 beads in the middle. So we're going to start off with two of the beads that are going to be the same as the ones we've got at the sides. So we put 1 of those on. Then the 3 big ones. Here we go, I know what I'm doing now. Then one of these. Okay, here we go. Then I'm going to pin down that middle thread. So we're going to start off with 4 knots again. So that's 3 I've done, I'm doing 1 more. So the one with the knot in the end goes under the middle and over the side. I've totally failed to pin down that thread at the bottom, so I'm just going to redo that. So that's why sometimes it's better to put the pin through the thread first, because then you make sure that you've got the thing skewered before you push it into the board. So the one with the knot in the end goes over the one at the side. We pick up the one at the side and go back through this loop. And we're going to pull that tight. So that's 4 knots. So then we're going to slide up the first bead, which is like the ones we're going to put at the side. And then we're going to do 2 knots. Under the middle, over this side, pick up this side and go back through the loop. How's everyone getting on with their knotting? Give me a shout out if you're struggling with any of the phases, and I will let you know what. Oh, I'll try and help if I can. So we'll do that second knot. Give it a little tug to tighten it up. Okay, so at this point, we're going to undo the knot. Now we will almost definitely redo it because otherwise we'll get confused, but we have to undo it to get our beads on. And what we're going to do here, I'll just undo these beads out. What we're going to do here is put a bead on each side. So we've got a bead on each of the long ones and we're pushing those down till they get to the nothing. Can you see? My close-up's not really that close up, is it? But we're pushing it down till they get to the knotting. That's all right, Susan. This one's exactly the same. You're just putting beads on the outside. So just keep working on the first bracelet if I were you. Okay, so we're going to put that knot back in the end so we don't get confused, but remember, really loosely, so it's nice and easy to untie. The knot goes under the middle. It goes over the second one. Pick up the second one and go back through the loop. And remember, this video will stay up, so you can always come back to it. You know, maybe you make one bracelet tonight and you make one bracelet next week. Up to you. The knot goes under the middle. It goes over the side. We pick up the side and we go back through that loop. And we're going to pull that up to the top and give it a little tug to tighten it. So it's time to add 2 more beads on. So untie that loose knot, and these 2 beads, like their predecessors, go on the outside. And we're going to slide those 2 down. Going to put that loose knot back in, and then it goes under the middle, over the second one, pick up the second one and go back through the loop. And again, it's 2 knots, under the middle, over the second one, pick up the second one and go back through the loop. Now we're going to slide up one of the big beads. And some variations that you can do here that are quite nice. We're not going to do them, but you could if you wanted. Is you could put beads all the way around this bead. So on these outside threads, you could just fill them up with beads and make like a little flower, which looks really nice. You've got other options. You can put bead on this middle one as well, so you have 3 beads in a row. You can really mix it up, get quite creative. But we're going to stick with this simple design. So I'm going to tie that knot again in my end, and then that goes under the middle, over the side, pick up the side and go back through the loop. Pull that up to the top, goes under the middle, over the side. You see how we've made like a fish shape there? A little fishy. One of my students once explained to me like this. She said, I always think that the tail of the fish is going to poke the fish in the eye. So I always tell everyone that at every workshop I do, teaching macrame, because I think it's so fun. Okay, so I'm just going to untie my knot. And I'm going to add my beads on. So I've got 2 on each side. 2 on each side, 1 on each side, sorry. 2 beads, 1 on each side. Retie my knots. We're going to go under the middle, over the side, pick up the side and go back through the loop. And do it again. Get the knot, under the middle, over the side, pick up the side and go back through the loop. Oh. Okay, so now I'm going to slide up another one of my big ones. I'm going to pick up the side, the one with the knot in, go under the middle, over the second one, pick up the second one and go back through the loop. Do it again, one with the knot in the end, under the middle, over the second one, pick up the second one, go back through the loop. That's my 2 knots. Untie the knot in the end and put 2 more beads on. Right, retie your knot in the end. The one with the knot in the end goes under the middle, goes over the one at the side, you pick up the one at the side and you go back through the loop. And we'll pull that up. The one with the knot in the end goes under the middle, goes over the side, pick up the side and go back through that loop. That's 2 knots. Gonna move this one bit up. The one with the knot in the end, retie your knot. And that goes under the middle, over the one on the side, pick up the one on the side and go back through the loop. The one with the knot in the end goes under the middle, over the side, pick up the one at the side and go back through that loop. Then we've got some ones to add onto our side, so we're just going to untie that knot. Get a few more beads out. Slide them down. Retie that knot. One with the knot in the end goes under the middle, goes over the one at the side, pick up the one with the side and go back through the loop. One with the knot in the end goes under the middle, over the side, pick up the one at the side, go back through that loop. I'm going to untie that knot, add on 2 beads. These are the last ones we're putting on the sides. Phew! I'm bored of untying and retying that knot. You obviously don't need the knot, but it does help you not get confused, and yeah, it's just quite good to have it. Right, so the one with the knot in the end goes under the middle, over the side, pick up the one at the side and go back through that loop. The one with the knot in the end goes under the middle, over the side, pick up the one on the side and go back through that loop. Side up the last bead, and now we're going to do 4 knots like we did at the top. Under the middle, over the side, pick up the side, go back through that loop. There we go. That's 2 knots. This one will be 3. And this one is 4. There we go, 4 knots. Okay, so now we're going to unpin our bracelet. If you put a knot at the top and we're going to tidy it up with the lighter, untie that knot. Take your bracelet, cut off the long bits at the side. Off camera for a minute there. Get your lighter, just melt them in a little bit. There we go, lovely job. Other side. Just melt it in a bit. Okay, there we go. And obviously if you've got 2 long bits, you need to do that with the other end as well. But if you just use 1 long bit, then you've got a lovely finish on that end already. Look how nice that looks. So what you can do, you don't have to put catch on it if you don't want to. You can just have it so you put it on and you just tie those ends together. When you wear it, you can just tie those ends together and then you've got a lovely bracelet. That's how that works. But if you want to do a catch, we're just going to do that like we did on the other one. 10 minutes left, so I can do that with you. I really can't believe how well the timing has worked out on this workshop. It's even like I'm just feeling very professional right now. I hope you can all enjoy that feeling with me. Okay, so I'm going to just pin the ends to the ends of the bracelet like we did before. Come on you. There we go. Pinned it down. So we get our piece of thread. Our bit for doing the catch. I'm going to put a knot in the end of it. Pop it under the middle like we did before. I'm just going to keep saying like we did before now. Let's see how many times I can fit it in. So you're going to pull up your two ends so they're the same length like we did before. Right, so the one with the knot in the end goes under the middle. I could have said it then, but I didn't. Over the one at the side, pick it up and go back through the loop. Pull it nice and tight. Remember, these knots have to be really tight or your bracelet's going to be slippy and slidey. Over the one at the side, pick up the one at the side and go back through the loop. Pull it tight. Going to keep knotting. So I'd love to see photos of anything you've made in this workshop. If it's with the kit, amazing. If you've made something at home with stuff you've got at home, even better. Really would like to see your work. So put some photos on the group, get creative. I might share them on the Shop in the Square page. I haven't done that yet, but I will do. Yeah, just send any, and if you're making anything else at home, if you're getting up to anything creative at home, please share it on the group, because I think it's so encouraging for everyone to see what other creative stuff, projects people have on. Like, it really helps inspire people to know they're part of a creative community, and that's what we're trying to create. So like, create a creative community. It's a lot of C's, isn't it? But yeah, if you can share photos of anything you make in these workshops, I love to see them, because it's really hard for me sitting here doing this on my own, trying to imagine you at home working on your own bracelets. So it's great to see anything you make. Even if you're not proud of it, I still want to see it, because I just think you should be proud of yourself just for attending these workshops, and you know, having the commitment to try and do something. Is just, it's part of the battle. So sometimes if you do your knotting really tight, you need to get some pliers or something to pull your threads out. I just improvised with using my teeth a bit there, but that's my finished catch. You can see it. I'm just going to get rid of these two side threads. Hold all the other ones to one side. Give it a little trim. And just melt that in. And if you haven't got a lighter tonight, you can always make your bracelet up and leave your ends nice and long and dangly, and then get your hands on a lighter next time you're at the supermarket. And then you can finish your bracelet up and make it nice and tidy later on. I'm afraid they don't come in the kits, because I don't think you'd be allowed to post them. They're pretty keen on you not posting flammable stuff, so lighters are probably out. Okay, so there's my catch done. And now just to finish it off, I just need two little beads on my ends. If you've got the kit, it's quite obvious which two little beads you might want to use. Very much smaller than the other beads. I've just got two little wooden beads here that I'm going to pop on my ends. that end and one on this end. You can put a little knot in there. One there and one here. There we go, 2 knots, ta-da. Just trim them off and melt them again. You don't have to melt these knots, I just like to do it, stops them coming untied, stops them fraying. Means I get to play with the lighter a bit more. Win, 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 win. Right, there we go, melt those knots in, nice. Oh. And there we have it, the finished bracelet. And if you want to, you can wear them as a set. Or you can give one away, or you can give them both away. Got so many possibilities. Show you mine. Here we go. Ta-da! My 2 lovely bracelets. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'll put it back up so I can say goodbye to you properly. I don't have to just talk with my hands. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I've really enjoyed doing that with you. I really enjoy macrame. It's a workshop I've always loved teaching it. I find it very therapeutic to do. Something about the process is really calming. I hope that you're finding it calming. I'm probably saying that's a bit patronising because you might find it a bit stressful if it's the first time you're doing macrame. But honestly, it gets easier and it becomes a very relaxing activity. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you used one of the kits, let me know what you thought about it because it's the first time I've been doing these kits. So if you've got any feedback, I need it. So please, I can constructive criticism. I can cope with it, hit me. And if you can share photos of anything you made this evening, that would be absolutely brilliant. Tell your friends about these workshops. We'd love to get the participants up because it means I can keep doing them. The more people that are interested in them, the more opportunity there is for me to keep running them, and I'm really enjoying running them. So thank you so much for your participation and watching this workshop and making some macrame with me. And I'll see you on Saturday if you're coming to the Saturday workshop over at the studio name page. We're doing rag rug making. This is a technique called bodging that we're going to do. You make a rug that looks a bit like this. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, sorry, we did sort of rush through the session, and you can watch the session later, you can re-watch bits of it, and I kind of expect people to do that. I kind of get them started and then come back to it later when you've got a little bit more time to pause me and rewind me and, yeah, really get to grips with it. Okay, so, yeah, this is one of the techniques we'll be doing on Saturday. It's called bodging. All you need is scrap fabric to have a go at this, a bit of cardboard and some sellotape to make the little tool that you use to do it. It's a really nice way to make a rag rug. We're also going to be making, and I do not know what the technical name for these rugs are, but I also can't find mine. Oh, here's one. Like a pokey rug on some hessian. We're going to have a go at that. So that'll be nice. And then next Tuesday, we're going to do paper cutting here, so that'll be a lot of fun. I really like paper cutting. Kind of like a fancy name for collaging, but, you know, to make a bit of art. Yeah, it's really good. So you get all you can use anything. You can use old magazines. You can use, if you've got some beautiful paper stashed away, you can use that. Old books, anything you feel like cutting up, you can use. So I'm also going to do a bit of painting on mine, like mix in a bit of paint. So do bring some paints along. Anything that dries quickly, poster paint or watercolours is what I'm going to use. Something like that can be really nice. Yeah, so I'll see you next week for some paper cutting, and enjoy the macrame. If you need any help, just do message me or message the page. If you need any tips or you want to see a diagram of the knots or anything, I'm always happy to give out additional information, no problem. All right, bye-bye, see you next week.